Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the MotorMotion E-Series, where we return for the Mercury Walch TCR Cup Season 4, and it is time for Round 5. We are looking forward to this as we barrel rapidly towards the half-season distance. We've got a total of 10, and now this fifth round is going to set the scene for the latter half of the season. Sponsor, of course, is Mercury Walch, proudly sponsoring the MotorMotion E-Series TCR Cup. For all your commercial printing, digital printing, direct mail, label printing, large format printing, and packaging, please do head to www.mercurywalch.com.au. Let's take a look at the calendar. And of course, 4 rounds down, we've gone to Autopolis, we've gone to Tokyo, we've gone to Mount Panorama, we've gone to Interlagos last round where the strategy was key, and today is no different because we continue the American leg. 2 out of 3 American races, and it's Road Atlanta. 32 laps today and in Georgia. This is going to be a good one, so we are looking forward to this. Let's take a look at the standings as they are right now. Ryan Spann and Scott Taylor, the 2 contenders right there at the top on 248 points each. These guys are going to be racing each other in Lobby 1 today as Gridline Racing and Me Cougar Driver Development go head-to-head for Round 5. It's Mark Pacheco in 3rd, followed by Nick Pfaff, Campbell Knowles, and Luke Stone. In the team's title, it's Gridline Racing still on top with Andrew, who dropped out for 1 round, basically meaning the Me Cougar Driver team were falling behind quite rapidly. This is one of those races that they want to win, they need to win, so they can get back in the fight and get back in the chase of that all-important 4th title they are chasing this season. Team 55 in 3rd place, followed by Lightning Motorsport, Team Capital, and Asta Racing. And we're going to hand over to our commentators for Lobby 1 in a few moments' time. Looking forward to this one. Hope everyone's going to be ready. Let's get to it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome from wherever you're watching right around the world. My name is Isaac Fogarty. We are here for the TCR Cup with powered by Mercury Walch. It's Season 4, Round 5 in sunny Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm joined in the commentary box by my fellow Novocastrian. They've let us loose in the commentary box this week. It's Nick Pautasso.
G'day, Isaac. Yes, g'day, everyone. And yeah, welcome along to what is going to be an exciting round 5 here for the TCR Cup, sponsored by Mercury Walch. It's been an exciting first 4 rounds here that we've had so far this season in 2025, and this is going to be no different here, Isaac. We're going to be seeing a lot of strategy involved, a lot of tyre whispering. The fuel is going to be very important to get to the half race distance, but also it's the battle that we are looking forward to halfway through the season. Me Cougar versus Gridline Racing. I'm very excited for it.
Indeed, that battle is going to play out today. They're conveniently in the same lobby this week, so we'll have to keep a close eye on it. In saying that, let's have a look at our qualifying results for Lobby 1. So it is Andrew Scott for Me Cougar. It's a Me Cougar 1-2, actually, so a brilliant start for their championship charge, a 23.9 for Andrew Scott to set that pole position time. Ryan Spann, 24.1 in 2nd. Then it's Blake Durston for CP Motorsports in 3rd, and Mark Pacheco, the first of the Gridline Racing cars, sitting in 4th. Is this something that you expected, Nick? Did you think that we would see Me Cougar come out all guns blazing today?
As you always expect here, here at MotorMotion E-Series, we do expect that 1-2 from one of those 2 teams, and it is Me Cougar that is leading the charge in that qualifying stage. It's Andrew Scott getting just ahead of Ryan Spann. So there might be a bit of team games here between the 2 drivers, whether Andrew is going to help his teammate Ryan Spann, who is equal points in that team's championship and drivers championship for Ryan Spann to get up towards the front. But as well, from a different name here in the top 4, Blake Durston, a very strong performance for CP Motorsports. So a bit of a dark horse here. So let's hope to see if he can get himself a good strategy involved tonight, and we can see that CP Motorsports in that top 5 by the end of the race.
Indeed, Ryan Spann. That's the question we're asking ourselves. Will there be some team orders played out at the start of this one here to help favour the man that is currently tied first in the championship? Obviously, 32 laps tonight, required mediums for our drivers, so at least one stop will have to occur throughout this race. Do you think, Nick, the one stop's going to be the way to go, or will a two stop be more common for our drivers?
It's going to be really tricky because what I know here at Road Atlanta, the pit transit time, even though we get a quick cutscene, as we'll see when we get to the race lobby, the cutscene is very short. The tyres go on, the fuel goes in, but it's just when they exit that pit boom, it's just a long cutscene for the pit exit. So you're looking around about a 25 to 30-second pit transit just for tyres alone. But when you add fuel, you're looking at around about 40 to 50 seconds time loss. So it's going to be tough. The racing mediums are the tyres preferred for the drivers here tonight. So we may see a double medium stint, but potentially you might even see someone running on a hard tyre, maybe trying to extend that 16-lap stint and try to go for a short finish on the medium tyres. But a lot of strategies involved here, my fellow Novacastri and Isaac. And yeah, I'm excited for it.
Me too. It's going to be an action-packed round. We can hear the cars moving up towards the grid to get in position now. So let's head over for the race start. Here we go. We've got 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights at Road Atlanta. The lights are out and we are away for round 4 of the TCR, of the TCR Cup powered by Mercury Walch, and it's a great start for Andrew Scott. Ryan Spann looking up the inside into turn 1, the two teammates battling early here, and that is Paco not too far behind, looking for a pass on Ryan Spann through turns 3 and 4 now on the run down towards the S's for the first of 32 times this evening. What a start to this race, and it looks like Me Cougar Driver Development have got away to a wonderful start here. Look at how low the rear of that car is sitting for Pacheco, and this is the dream start for the Me Cougar Driver Development team. A nice move up the inside there from GLR Scotty on Dragon maybe. This has been an electric start, Nick, and I have a feeling this battle is far from over between these two as we run down towards turn 10.
Yeah, absolutely. A great start here by the Me Cougar boys. Just what they needed. Going line of stern into turn 1. Mark Pacheco really trying to get involved in that early battle to try and get a pass on Ryan Spann. But Scott Taylor is the one that's trying to make moves. Out breaks Morgan Davey on the inside, but they're going to go side by side through turn 8. Bit of a tank slapper there on the Honda Civic, something that you don't really see on this car, that the rear end runs loose. But Scott Taylor down the inside is cruising. Shannon Jones going to come through. He's going to stick behind side by side through the final corner. Some great racing between the Black Rose racer and the Gridline Racing driver. I think unfortunately, the worst offender from all of this is Aussie Heat. Blake Durston, who qualified P3, is all the way down in P8 at the moment, and he's really getting hassled by one of the Team 55 drivers, and that is Troy Britnell and Campbell Knowles in Ayrburn. But a poor start from the CP Motorsports driver after starting P3, after a solid performance in P3 at qualifying.
A wonderful start indeed for Pacheco. He's doing a brilliant job in that car at the moment, but it is Andrew Scott leading the way. Our top 4 not really moved too far away from each other at this stage of the race. Great start for GLR Scotty to get himself up into 5th place for this. So 32 laps, we're on to lap 2. This is the best sector set by Ando at this stage, but look at how close these guys are at the moment. Ryan Spann, there hasn't been any team orders so far, but I have to wonder, with these team gridline cars lurking in the background, obviously GLR Scotty's up into 5th place, will we see maybe a team order start to play out soon, with Pacheco looking like he's going to make a move very soon on Ryan Spann.
Yeah, Mark Pacheco doing the right thing here, just waiting his time, just probably going to stay behind the 119 in Ryan Spann, the championship lead, as we saw on the windows on the side of that Me Cougar 119. He's got the orange numbers representing that he is the championship lead. I'm surprised they haven't done a double orange numbers with the GLR Scotty tied on points, but considering the fact that Ryan Spann has won more races and got better positions than GLR Scotty, that gives him that outright championship lead. But Ando doing a really nice job there. He's holding the pace of everyone amongst the field within that top 4. JLR Scott is not able to pursue, make his way forward just yet, but one of the ones that is flying under the radar is the driver in 4th place, Jansen. Doing a really good job, the South African driver, one of my favorite drivers. Obviously not trying to be biased to my brother-in-law who's South African as well, but it's good to see a South African up in P4 in Jansen. Mad Turtle Racing has a really good, strong relationship with the drivers from Me, Cougar, and Gridline Racing. So potentially with those 3 drivers in combat, they all might be running similar setups, and the Mad Turtle that we know throughout the previous rounds has some straight lines, has some strong straight line speed. So I think Jansen's going to really take advantage of that when it gets to the back straight, but just losing a bit of touching ground from the top 3. It is still Ando ahead of Ryan Span, ahead of Mark Pacheco. Jansen in 4th place, Scotty in P5, Morgan Davey P6, and then we have Shannon Jones and Troy Britt now running out our top 8 as we are commencing lap 4 of 32 of this beautiful scenery that we have here at Road Atlanta, Georgia.
This has been an electric start here in Georgia. We are on lap 4 for round 5 of the TCR Cup, powered by Mercury Walch, and of course brought to you by TrackSpot TV. And Andrew Scott is leading the way from his teammate Ryan Span, from Mark Pacheco, then from Jansen, GLR Scotty, Drogan Mavey, Cruisin' and Brits Lightning round out your top 8 at this stage of the race. Still early days. Few cars I'm noticing at this point in time are on the soft tyre. You can see Drogan Mavey there on the mediums, but GLR Scotty, I did notice, was on that soft tyre. Do you think that's a strategy here at this stage of the race, Nick, to get himself up into the higher positions, make a bit of time up, and just maybe the qualifying wasn't quite where he wanted it to be for Scott Taylor, so he just wants to gain positions, gain track position, obviously. That's very important around here, or any circuit for that matter. So yeah, do you think this is a bit of a strategy play here from GLR Scotty to use the softs in the first stint?
Well, it's a bit of an interesting strategy with Scott Taylor on the racing softs, because he's actually not making any gains on the top 4. He's stuck in that positioning at the moment. So he's in P5, not really making any inroads to the Mad Turtle driver in Jansen and his teammate Mark Pacheco, who the top 4 are running on the racing mediums, except for Mark Pacheco, who is also on the racing soft. So it must be a gridline racing strategy that they are running the soft tyres and then having the medium finish. But I'm really surprised here that the softs aren't really as what they hyped up to be, because they're not really showing that great performance there. We know, we've seen with the supercomputer that Me, Cougar Driver Development have over the years, and since the inauguration of the TCR Cup, that these guys have been able to really work their numbers and strategies to absolute perfection when it comes to tyre strategy, tyre management, and fuel economy. That it feels like that these racing mediums are actually working a lot more compared to the racing softs, because Mark Pacheco is not really making any inroads and he's not able to make the moves. Showed some early threats, but so far it's a little bit stale on lap 5.
And one of the drivers I just want to comment on as well, had a great qualifying session, was Blake Durston. Currently not even inside the top 8, so things have not gone the way for Blake Durston that he probably would have liked. You can see he's all the way down in 11th place at the moment, with his teammate Graham Splint not too far behind. So not the start to this race the CP Motorsports driver would have liked off the back of what was an excellent qualifying position, but he's currently chasing down Campbell Knowles in the Team 55 car in front. So there's a bit of work to do to get himself back up the order. But he's running on the medium tyres, so he'll get a bit of a longer stint here in this first stint. How long do you think, Nick? I'll ask. 2.5 second penalty. That is hefty. That's going to cost him a lot of time, because look at how much he's gaining here on Campbell Knowles. But I was going to ask you, Nick, we talked a lot about strategy. If you're on the medium tyre, how long are you looking to run in this first stint, do you think? Are you trying to get to halfway, or are you looking at maybe about 10, 15 laps into this race?
I was just watching, when I was watching Aussie Heat trying to get that 2.5 seconds, he just literally just bunny hopped the corner going into turn 4. But going to your point, To me, I feel like the half race distance will be the way to go, but seeing that the racing soft tyres are not really looking up, are really not hyping to be the best tyres so far, I would actually extend that medium stint a little bit more. So if the fuel tank can get you to about 16, why not push it for another couple of laps, 4 or 5 laps? That way you can really extend that medium stint, wear them out like crazy, lean on the front tyres as much as you can. But then when you get to the soft tyres, and we see Ryan Spann just run wide at turn 3 going into turn 4, really just try and lean on him as much as you can before you run on the soft tyres, and then there you're going to have fresher compounds and a faster race car with a low amount of fuel as well. Runs wide there on the exit going into turn 6. So I wonder if he's going to pick himself a half second there, just getting all 4 wheels over the racing line was Ryan Spann. But I think going to your point, I would stay a little bit longer. I would really try and take advantage of this tyre, and because we can see the performance with Mark Pacheco, he's not gaining at all.
It seems to be that the medium tyre is the way to go at this stage, holding up quite well 7 laps into this race as well, only looking maybe just under at 25% worn on those fronts. So obviously we get full tuning here at the MotorMotion E-Series in the TCR Cup, and drivers, you'll notice as they go around, a lot of them sit the rear of the car very low and the toe angle very aggressive to just minimize the contact with the tyre on the road. Obviously, think about it, the less contact with the road, the less part of the tyre is going to wear. But there's yeah, a bit of work to do here for Ryan Spann. Andrew Scott not making this easy for him at all. If he wants to have that win to cement the championship lead, then he has to make it happen. A little bit of a smoke signal or dust signals there from Andrew Scott as they run through the S's down towards turn 5. And it's a very aggressive curb usage there from Ryan Spann. You can just see the different body languages of these cars, and that's testament to the way they're set up, Nick, just how different everyone's going in terms of setup direction. Do you think if you're Andrew Scott and Ryan Spann, are you working together and coming up with a setup for both of you, or are you looking at, oh, well, you know, I drive this way, so my setup's probably going to be different to yours?
To be honest, I know these drivers very well. Both know Andrew Scott and Ryan Spann. I've raced with them on multiple series throughout the racing week on Gran Turismo 7. And these two have very similar driving styles. Ryan Spann a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more on the faster edge. I feel like if it comes to raw pace, I think Ryan Spann and Andrew Scott are very equal. It's very hard to put a paper between them to say them who is the fastest. You have to look at microsectors between these guys. They are so even on pace, and it demonstrates through their qualifying like how close they are. It was only just separated by a 10th between these two drivers. That's why they're a class above the rest, and you can see amongst this pack they are pulling away from P1 and P2, from P3 and P4. So the Me Cougar boys are really stretching those legs. Those medium tyres are working to an absolute treat here, Isaac, and they are working so well for these guys. But this is a little bit of redemption. This is a little bit of what we can say for Ando Scott, a little bit of a retribution drive, that basically what he needs to do is get his car towards the front, because while he gets his car up towards the front, if me could keep that 1-2, and we don't see any progression from the gridline boys in Mark Pacheco and Scotty, these guys are going to start getting those points over them, and that's going to be very crucial for this championship, because it's well over 35 points separating Me Cougar Driver Development and Gridline Racing. That the points is really, really important.
The points are crucial here. Obviously 50 points for a race win, 48 if you come second, and then 44, 42, and it goes down by 2s as we move through the field all the way down to 26 points if you come in 12th place. So there's plenty of points on offer and only a 2-point difference, but sometimes those 2 points can mean the difference between winning a championship and losing. So every place counts. But yeah, as you said, Andrew Scott, he got beaten by his teammate last time out at the Autodromo de Interlagos at Brazil, if I remember correctly. He won that race, and Andrew Scott had to settle for second. So he'll be looking to get one back on his teammate this time maybe and say, well, hang on, if you can win a race, I can win one too. So another 1-2 looks to be, at this stage of the race, don't want to put a commentator's curse on it, but it looks to be relatively good looking at the moment, looking like it's going to come off if they can keep this going. But there's obviously, we haven't had any stops yet. We don't know what the strategy is going to be. Both these guys on the medium tyre. And then you've got Mark Pacheco sitting in third. And it looks like Janssen is starting to close up on him a little bit. You can just catch that in the background. The battle for third place is still going on, continuing. Look at this. Look how close that the Mad Turtle driver is now to the back of Mark Pacheco as they run down towards the turn 10 chicane. It's not turns 10 and 11, it's actually turns 10A and 10B. I don't know why they decided that was the numbering for it, but here we go. Has a look as they run into turn 10A. Doesn't make a move though, not as close as he probably would have liked to get up the inside there of Mark Pacheco. And we are a little dummy into the pit lane there. That was cheeky from Mark Pacheco. Just sort of a bit of a, oh, I'm going to have a look at the pit lane, see if I can get you to jump into the lane, but could not make it happen. So they both continue on, and you've got GLR Scotty now, who has closed up as a result. So this battle for the podium is starting to heat up. We've got 2 gridline cars and a Mad Turtle car.
Yeah, and this is really good from Scotty. He's just been really getting those consistent laps. As you can actually see there, the consistency that he's been getting in the 25, low 25s, except for the lap 8, which was a 25.9, the consistency that Scotty's putting to catch up to Janssen and his teammate has been really, really strong. And as you can see with the way that his car's been set up, you can look at the, if you have a look on the graphic there, on the HUD there, Isaac, you can see the rear tires. They've got a bit of a, they have a bit of an blue ring around the outside on both the rear tires, on the rear left and the rear right. It's because there's not much contact being put onto that car, as though there's not much contact patch that is being put onto the road for that grid line driver. So you can see that they're getting super cold, and that's why he might be getting a little bit of a loose rear end, trying to slide the car through the corner. Janssen looking up the inside of Mark Pacheco, thinks about a contact made between the two drivers. Can Scotty get a 2 for 1 and over and under? Is he going to get through the middle? Oh, he's gone through his teammate Mark Pacheco. The Pacheco comes into the pit lane. We can see through the rear vision mirror of Scott Taylor's car. But wow, that was a knife edge move there for Scotty to be up into P4. Mark Pacheco, the first one to come into the pit lane at the end of lap 12, the end of lap 11, starting on lap 12.
We've got Morgan, Davey, and it looks like Cruisin' also into the lane. So the softs have had enough for Mark Pacheco. It's time to put a bit of fuel in. What tyres will we go onto? I think the mediums will be the way to go. Obviously, that is the mandatory tyre for this race. So a full tank of fuel potentially to go on board for these drivers as we watch the numbers continue to tick up. 100 litres of fuel for Mark Pacheco. And now that's really long pit exit animation that we spoke about earlier. This is the most agonizing part of the lap around here. You just have to wait for, as you watch your car essentially drive out of the pit lane, and there's nothing you can do. But here we go, he's out now on the medium tyre, so that is a wonderful 12 lap stint on the softs. But his teammate in GLR Scotty, how long will those soft tyres continue to last? How much more can he push them? That lead pack is now coming into the final sector now, and he's got past Janssen, so that is a move. That is currently third place. He's going to dive into the lane. Will Janssen follow him? Yes, he does. So both these cars into the pit lane for their stop now. Brits Lightning still out on circuit. 5 litres of fuel left in, but Brits Lightning is now in to the lane as well. So Andrew, Scott, and Ryan Spann continue on. Not a lot of fuel left on board the Me Cougar Racing cars at this stage of the race, so they probably won't push on for too many more laps, I would think. But this is where strategy will start to come into play. How much fuel can you save? How much have you saved to now make that tank last as long as possible? The one stop is doable around here with quite a lot of fuel saving, but I think 2 stops will be the call. But we'll have to see what tyres people decide are worth running as we get later into this race. There's Mark Pacheco coming through the final corner now. Where will he pop out in relation to those that have stopped? Remember, his teammate is currently in the lane in GLR Scotty. Where is GLR Scotty? don't think he's at the pit exit just yet, so that will be a provisional third place. First of the cars that have stopped for Mark Pacheco. GLR Scotty comes out a fair way behind, actually. So that undercut has paid dividends for Mark Pacheco and just goes to show how much an advantage you can gain by having fresh tyres around here.
Yeah, absolutely, and a strong undercut there by Mark Pacheco. The undercut is really powerful around here, just through the slalom down the hill, and then this double right-hander. Then you've just got that really long back straight where you can really maximize the RPM on the Honda Civic that we have provided here at MotorMotion E Series for season 4 of the TCR Cup. That these cars are absolutely powerful. These cars are absolutely wicked fast when you get the tune set up perfectly, low to the ground. Getting those tires on the ground as quickly as you can and getting that power down is really, really satisfying as well. Campbell Knowles goes around for another lap, so he's going to go 14 laps on this stint. So I'll be very interested to know what happens here, because Ando Scott and Ryan Spann, they couldn't make that 16% marker. But look at Campbell Knowles here. Look at his fuel compared to everybody else's. He's at that 25% mark here, Isaac. So he's on lap 14 of 32. If he can stretch this out another 2 more laps, his pace isn't really the strongest, as we can see. But we've seen this from Campbell Knowles in the previous 4 rounds here at MotorMotions in the TCR Cup, that he's been a master of fuel saving. The Team 55 driver in Campbell Knowles, who's been really propelling this team forward along with his teammate Troy Britnell, he's been doing some really, really interesting strategies in season 4, and I'll be very keen to see what happens at the end of this race if he's going to come in at the halfway mark, because if he does, everyone else has to do another pit stop, and even Graham Splint down in P2, I think he's yet to make a pit stop as well, the CP Motorsports driver. If these two get this right, we could be seeing some great results here from the Team 55 driver and for Blue Dog in Graham Splint. But as we say that, Ando has just gone around the inside, which leads to the outside line, which leads to the racing line through to 10A and 10B. Back on the racing soft tyres after doing that compulsory tyre on the racing mediums. Ryan Spann in P4, Mark Pacheco P5. He's got the jump on Scotty, and Jansen and Morgan Davey inside the top 8. So going to be a very interesting race here, Isaac, and we're not even halfway.
Halfway mark yet to be reached. We're on lap 15 of 32 here for round 5 of the TCR Cup, brought to you by Mercury Walch. This is Lobby 1, and currently it is Campbell Knowles leading the way, yet to stop in this race, and then it's the 2 Me Cougar driver development cars of Andrew Scott and Ryan Spann, followed by Graham Splint, who is also yet to stop in this race, running as long as he can to maximize the opportunity to do a 1-stop. Then you've got Mark Pacheco sitting in 5th currently for Gridline Racing, followed by his teammate Scott Taylor, and then Lyle Jansen sitting in 7th for Mad Turtle Racing. Morgan Davey sitting in 8th. Troy Britnell, or Brits Lightning, as he's better known, in 9th place. And then we've got Cruisin in 10th, Calculated Risk in 11th, and Aussie Heat sitting at the back in 12th after qualifying. Blake Durston qualified in 3rd place. So a really strong qualifying that has not really gone his way. He sits last in the field at the moment. Remember, we still have 2 cars to stop in Campbell Knowles and Graham Splint, but that is your leader on screen, Campbell Knowles, running out of fuel now. It's finally into the red, so we would expect that he may come in at the end of this lap, but what an effort as we reach the halfway mark now, lap 16, to save fuel for as long as he did. And I think there's a potential that we could definitely see the 1-stop here out of Campbell Knowles. Put on another set of mediums, fill the car up, and run it home to the end with a bit of fuel saving.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can see on the lap times, like the fastest lap being set by Ando Scott, a 21 minute 24.736 early into that first stint on the racing medium tyres. Now he's gone onto the softs, which I feel like that's going to be the fastest lap he's set. But Campbell Knowles here hasn't really touched a 24, not even a 25. So yeah, going back onto that point, he did set the fastest lap on the previous lap, Ando Scott. So really strong pace he's got on the soft tyres, but Campbell Knowles has, I don't think he's ever even touched a 25. I think he's been sitting in the 26s and 27s throughout the whole race. So whilst he's about 2-3 seconds slower than Ando Scott, he's been the one with the strategy mind and the fuel saving mind that he can get himself to the one stop here, and he's done it perfectly. 5% fuel. So this is a brilliant, this could potentially be a really, really good strategy here, Isaac, because I feel like you can even from this point, he's got 5% fuel. He doesn't need to fill the car up to a full tank. He could probably fill the car up between 90 to 95 litres. And he can just run the same strategy that he's been doing. Half shifting, quarter shifting, whatever works with the car. Graham Splint is now into the pit lane. So the one-stoppers are looking to make a charge here. And yes, they're going to drop down the field, but in the long run, this could be a win for them.
Could be a win. You saw that Campbell Knowles was leading this race without stopping yet. So he had a fair lead over our Andrew Scott, who's now inherited the race lead. So potentially both these drivers have to stop again. I don't see either of these drivers running to the end with just over half a tank of fuel left and plenty of race left to go. So if Campbell Knowles can be a bit smart about how he looks after his tyres in this sort of middle stage of the race and just keep his, you know, what they say, you keep your head screwed on. Nothing silly, nothing too dramatic. There is potential for him to be in a position when we get towards lap 32 for him to be leading this race, or at least within a look at the podium. So this Graham Splint, who now sits last in the field, but remember, he's only going for the one stop, so he's got his teammate in front of him. Hopefully, if he catches up, he doesn't hold him up too much. There could be a few team orders going on at CP Motorsports, but there is a big question mark over where they will end up as this field carries, or as the race carries on. So we're on lap 17 now, well not well over halfway, we're just over halfway in this race, with Andrew Scott leading the way from Ryan Spann and Mark Pacheco. Those are your top three at the moment. And Me Cougar Racing, in the battle between Me Cougar Driver Development and Gridline Racing, it is currently Me Cougar Driver Development 1-2, Gridline Racing 3-4, and as it stands, Ryan Spann would inherit the championship lead.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been some great pace from these Me Cougar boys. Yes, they have to do one more pit stop, and because they're on the racing softs, they can pretty much run the softs to the end of this of the next stint as well. So those guys are going to be super rapid. Mark Pacheco is already on his racing mediums, trying to comply with the rules and the requirement of the tires, but Gridline Racers Scott Taylor is yet to jump on the mediums here. So I'm thinking what Scotty might be looking to do, stick behind his teammate, save a bit of fuel, but I have a feeling he could really benefit from an undercut here. I think he's going to try and use up his softs as much as he can, get to the back of Mark Pacheco, and then pull the pin, jump into the pit lane, and make an undercut move that when he gets onto the medium tyres, heat those tyres up. Mark Pacheco only has to do a few laps on the racing softs. It'll be close between these two teammates here, Mark Pacheco and Scott Taylor. But the thing I'm thinking of as well, between Ando Scott and Ryan Spann, if they're going to be battling Campbell Knowles, the only advantage that Me Cougar have potentially that might save them from keeping that 1-2 is the fuel number. The fuel, they have to put less fuel in the car, and they're going to be on really, really fresh soft tires here, Isaac. So for Campbell Knowles to run that one-stop strategy, it can work. It has the potential to work, but the pace difference that the Me Cougar boys are showing compared to Campbell Knowles, it's going to be tight towards the end of the race.
Going to be very tight. Speaking of tight, this battle on screen at the moment between the two team Gridline cars, Scott Taylor maybe getting a little bit impatient, saying, come on, if you're not going to go, I want to get past. Keep in mind that Scott Taylor, he's run a second. Here we go. Oh, he's going to have a look. A little bit of a touch to the teammates there. Front to rear contact on the run in towards turn 10. And the move won't be done this time. But that was very aggressive from Scott Taylor, maybe just saying, come on, Mark, hurry up a bit. Want to get on with it. Has a little cheeky look through the final corner, through turn 12. Nothing doing there. On the run towards turn 1. Will he try and make the move? No. There's clearly no team orders at Gridline Racing at the moment. It is papaya rules, as they say at McLaren. Everybody for themselves. Just do what you want. Just don't take each other out.
It's Bolsey 2-1 if you're in the Red Bull Racing camp. But what we're thinking here is that it's a little bit struggle for Scotty, that he literally bump draft Mark Pacheco, who went down the inside, went to the defensive line on Scott Taylor, but Scott Taylor followed him and he just gave him a bit of a tap at the going into 10A, 10B. I'm surprised he didn't really just flash the lights there. I'm sure Scotty's going to be furious over the team's comm and saying to him, why isn't Pacheco letting me through? Why isn't Paco letting me through at the end of this straight? I'm on the better strategy. I'm on the better tyres and I've got pace behind him. And we saw in that slipstream that the pace that the 37 has got over his teammate is really, really strong, albeit with the slipstream effect for Turismo 7. But the pace difference is huge. As we look towards the boys going down the inside, I think I saw a bit of a blinker there from Mark Pacheco. No, still stays behind here. So this is really hurting Gridline Racing. Yes, it's going to keep their 3 and 4 at the end of this stint, but their progress to catch up to the Meat Cougar boys, there is no hope at all if Scott Taylor stays behind Mark Pacheco.
I think might need a bit of Valtteri. It's James here for Mark Pacheco. He did put the indicator on the run into turn 10, but nothing was done about it from Scott Taylor. Maybe didn't feel like he was in a strong enough position to make that move stick. So hopefully there'll be another chance soon. But I'm just noticing as well the differing strategies between these two cars. Mark Pacheco is on the mediums and Scott Taylor is on the soft tyres, which means Scott Taylor will have to run the medium tyres at the end of the race for his final stint. So this is potentially why Scott Taylor has won the pace advantage. Looks up the inside. There we go. Move is made. And I think that was a little bit of just getting out of the way from Mark Pacheco. And this is what should have happened probably a lot sooner, given the pace advantage that Scott has on those soft tyres, but also the limited tyre life he has compared to Mark Pacheco. So hopefully now Scott Taylor can put the foot down, hasn't taken too much life out of those soft tyres, and can push forward throughout the rest of this stint.
Oh, the straight line speed that Mark Pacheco's got, he's going to look down the inside of his teammate. No, thinks better of it. The straight line speed that he had over his teammate was absolutely huge. The 773 of the Gridline Racing Mark Pacheco. Is he coming into the pit lane? No, just a little bit of a feint there. It looks a bit of a weird camera angle, thinking that the cars are coming into the pit lane. Very tight, very narrow pit entry here at Road Atlanta. Makes you second guess yourself if they're actually coming to the pit lane or not. But look at the driver behind. Look at that mad turtle driver in Jansen in P5. He's sitting quietly in the background. These two boys are battling hard with each other, and Jansen has just seen all the chaos unfold. Finally, Scott Taylor has gone past Mark Pacheco's been held up, but Jansen is licking his wounds here, licking his lips here, and thinking to himself, you guys push yourselves a little bit more, bit more battling for me, a bit more battling for you two, and I might be able to steal the cookies from the cookie jar, and I might be able to get myself up into the P3. As we see, Graham Splint there has come to a half-second penalty. Looks like we have a retirement here, and I believe that is for Blake Durston. So his day goes from bad to worse here. Isaac qualifying P3, and a DNF disconnect here in Lobby 1 for round 5. That is such a shame for the fast CP Motorsports driver to get himself right up in the mix in qualifying, to sadly see him disconnect and DNF from this race.
Is such a shame. One of his best qualifying results of the season, and it's all come undone. It's not been the race that Blake Durston would have wanted off the back of that session. But so far, the man who has had the session that you would have wanted is Andrew Scott. And we've seen calculated risk now sitting in 9th place, starting to close up on the back of the Mad Turtle car in front, I believe that is, trying to look at delivery, diving into the lane here for both these drivers. So with 10 laps to go, we're starting to see the final round of pit stops taking place. Morgan Davey is into the lane. This is Jones into the lane, and then calculated risk as well, also into the lane. So both Black Rose cars in having their stop. The Mad Turtle car in having their stop as well. How much fuel will they need to get to the end of this race? Lap 23 here at the TCR Cup, round 5 at Road Atlanta, lovely sunny Georgia today. And this is the man going for a one-stop run. Campbell Knowles sitting in 7th place at the moment. Got quite a lot of life left in those tyres, but still 10 laps to go. Our race leader is into the lane. So now how much of a gap has Andrew Scott and Ryan Spann pulled on this man on your screen at the moment? Where will they come out in relation to...
Half a second penalty there for Campbell Knowles there, I just saw in the background.
That is rough. That is going to hurt, especially when you're trying to find time to catch the guys that have been leading this race the entire time. So he's going to have to serve that right here. That's going to take his throttle away for half a second, which is an eternity in this game. And that is going to sting because both drivers are now out back onto the circuit and leading the race. So the one stop not paying dividends so far for Campbell Knowles.
No, and Andrew Scott and Ryan Spann have come out of the pit lane right now, and Campbell Knowles is about to approach the final corner. So it definitely hasn't worked for Campbell Knowles here. So the one-stop strategy, what looked to have been a favourable strategy, like we saw exactly last time out at Interlagos, where we saw the Me Cougar boys run the racing mediums and the racing hards for the one-stop strategy to finish that race. Unfortunately, Campbell Knowles has not been able to make that work. His pace hasn't been strong enough to be matching the likes of the Me Cougar driver development team to keep him to the 124s, 125s. So he's been really struggling on pace here. The one stop is a smart strategy. He's well ahead of Morgan Davey and Shannon Jones in cruising in P9, but now he needs to see the drivers in that top 4, Scott Taylor, Mark Pacheco and Jansen, see where he ends up in that pack, because I feel like he's going to be in that battle pack along with his teammate in Troy Bednell in P4. But here come the rest of the grid line boys. They're ready and their game is on for the pit stop.
So here we go. This is the pit stop for Mark Pacheco. GLR Scotty also into the pit lane, but he has to run those mediums. Remember, it is a mandatory medium requirement in this race, and he has used 2 sets of softs, so he's going to have to do a very short run, only about 8 laps on the set of mediums. But there goes your race leaders, 1 and 2 for Me Cougar Driver Development. It is Andrew Scott and Ryan Spann, sorry. I've done that a couple times before. But here's Campbell Knowles. Where will he come out in relation to GLR Scotty, who's now onto the medium tyre? And I think that is GLR Scotty exiting the pit lane as we speak. There is the other gridline car. So he's managed to split both gridline racing cars of Scott Taylor and Mark Pacheco. So this is huge, not only for Campbell Knowles, who's trying to pull off the one stop, but also for the team's championship, in that it's costing some valuable points for Team Gridline.
Absolutely, and you have to remember as well that the championship points, if you get the 2 team cars on that podium position, you get an extra couple of bonus points going towards the team's championship as well. So that is favouring Me Cougar Driver Development, who is trying to regain that championship lead in the team's in the constructors championship between Me Cougar and Gridline Racing. So any extra points that they can get, qualifying, fastest laps, a double podium, this is what Me Cougar need to do, and they are doing this to absolute perfection here. As we see Mark Pacheco going around the outside, going to the defensive line, makes that move, authoritative move on Campbell Knowles, back up into P4 on the racing soft tyres, and looks like Campbell Knowles, with only a handful of laps to go, might have to consolidate for P5, but he's going to have a fast turtle right behind him, a Mad Turtle, and Jansen in the Mad Turtle Racing Honda Civic. He's got 7 laps to go, has Jansen to try and catch up to Campbell Knowles. He's got some pace of it on him, so it's going to be close between Rensburg and Campbell Knowles for P5 at the end of this race.
It's a bit of work to do for the Mad Turtle driver if he wants to get himself up into P5, but it's certainly achievable with plenty of time left in this race. A lot can happen in 7 laps. Here is Calculated Risk and Cruisin' battling for 9th place in this race, and then there's a fair way back to Graham Spoon, who just hasn't been able to make that one-stop work the way he would have wanted today, like Campbell Knowles did. But this is the other Mad Turtle car, the sister car, if you will, battling away for 9th place in this race. You've got Morgan Davey sitting in 8th at the moment, doing a wonderful job chasing down Troy Britnell, the teammate of Campbell Knowles. Look at the, he's run wide on the exit of turn 7. And as they run down, this is technically turn 8. I wouldn't really call it a turn. Then there's another slight bend that we call turn 9. And then the chicane that is turns 10A and B. I think we need to have a revisit of what a corner is here at Rhodolanda. A move down the inside here for Morgan Davey. Can he make it stick up into turn 10? Very late on the brakes. Ran a little bit wide on the exit, but he's got it done. Past Troy Britnell up into 7th place, and there's a fair way between himself and Jansen, but hopefully he can just hold on now on those soft tyres. But I don't think Troy Britnell is done yet. He has a look into turn 1. This battle could go all the way to the end.
Oh, what a fantastic race in there between the Black Rose Racer and Team 55's Troy Britnell. Really went for the authoritative move there, Morgan Davey. Didn't stick it around this into the inside and hold, give him room on the outside. He just chucked the car in there, prayed for that the car was going to be able to have that braking performance ahead of the Team 55 driver. And look at the car sliding around on the exit of turn 5. It's a really, really slippery car. He's pretty much drifting a front-wheel drive car. It's unheard of here, unless you're in the world of the Rally Championship. That's possible, but without the hydraulic handbrakes here at MotorMotion E-Series. But some strong performances here for Morgan Davey. Got some pace on the car. Mark Pacheco now is on the back of his teammate here, and the roles have been reversed here. Scotty on the mediums, Mark Pacheco now on the faster compound. 5 laps to go here. We saw what happened with Scott Taylor trying to get past Mark Pacheco on the racing mediums. It's now role reverse. Mark Pacheco, he's on a flyer, and I don't think he wants to hold back for P4, Isaac. I think he wants to get that top position ahead of his teammate and get himself on that podium, spraying the champagne.
Well, there is the championship to think about for Scott Taylor. Obviously came into this round tied with Ryan Spann on points, so you don't want to cede too many points in the championship. At this stage, it would only be a 2-point loss for Scott Taylor over Ryan Spann. But if he lost another position, that's 4 points, and that's an even bigger gap you have to overcome. And you don't know when you're going to end up in a lobby. Obviously, the lobbies change each race, and who drivers teams are paired together can change from race to race. So we don't know when we will see them together again. So this could be the only opportunity for GLR Scotty to get some good points without having to be able to know, where Ryan Spann is on the road. So Campbell Knowles has lost out to Jansen, so that is a change of position, and he has got that done with plenty of time in hand. So those soft tyres are working really well for the Mad Turtle driver, and now Campbell Knowles sits in 6th, which I think is still an amazing effort from this driver to pull off the one-stop race. And I've just been informed reliably by my insiders that Gridline Racing and Me Cougar will meet again in the same lobby at Trial Mountain next week. So they'll finish out the American Cup racing against each other yet again. Will they be able to get the upper hand next week? It's been all Me Cougar so far this week. Just a 1-2 from start to finish for Andrew Scott and Ryan Spann. Every time I watch Andrew Scott get behind the wheel of any car, but especially these TCR cars, he just does something magical and is just quick. You cannot slow that man down. He's like a good thing he's a pilot, because he's like a plane. He just takes off, flies away, and you don't see him again until you cross the checkered flag.
That's why I guess he's got the 787 on the side of his car as well, because it's the same kind of aircraft that he flies on a daily basis as well. So he's familiar with the equipment that he flies with, and he's familiar with the equipment that he has in his sim gear when it comes to racing on Gran Turismo 7 and participating in the TCR Cup for Season 4, where me, Cougar Driver Development Team in Ando Scott and Ryan Spann for Season 4 are looking to make it a 4 on the trot for the team's championship, but they need to get these points considered and solidified. Ando Scott has got a huge gap over his teammate in Ryan Spann. He's checked out. He's just put the hammer down, 24s next to his name, a 24.4 as a personal best for Ryan Spann, but not the fastest compared to the 24.1 that we saw with Ando Scott on lap 26. So the pace is really strong with Ando Scott. Ryan Spann just getting a little bit more pace on that previous lap, but with 3 laps to go, with 2.5 laps to go rather, Ando Scott looks like he's solidified P1 unless another mistake happens, because Ryan Spann's is going to try and go for 4 wins in a row here. So Ando Scott, as we've seen a couple of times, has made some mistakes, some little judgmental errors on the final couple of corners that we saw at Tokyo Expressway and at Interlagos. I can see that he doesn't want to make that same mistake again. He wants to take that victory because it's 3-1 to Ryan Spann. Ando wants to get that second win of the season.
Yeah, well, every lobby that they've been in this season, every race they've been in, me, Cougar, have won a race somewhere. And it has either been Andrew Scott or Ryan Spann. It's mostly been Ryan Spann. Andrew Scott hasn't won a race since the first race of the season, all the way back at Autopolis in Japan. So it's been a little while between top step drinks for Andrew Scott. But we'll have to see what happens with just under 2 laps to go. GLR Scotty is holding on to 3rd place at this stage, which is what he needs to stay alive in this championship. Let's remember, this is round 5, so we still have half a season to go, a long way. Anything can happen, but you want to stay very loose on the dirt. Bit of off-road rally there. I didn't know these TCR cars were built for off-road, but he's showing me that maybe they are.
Wow, that was a heart-and-mouth moment for Scott Taylor there. Almost sacrificed his P3 after going for an excursion down the S's there. That got me off my seat just seeing that moment there. But Scott Taylor in P3, Mark Pacheco in P4. Obviously a lap and a half to go. They're still close quarters with the Gridline Racing boys. But I just wonder, you know, that we have Scott Taylor and Mark Pacheco battling each other, kind of similar to what we saw with we're seeing with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri in the 2025 Formula Championship. Yes, you have 2 top drivers in the same camp, but all trying to vie for the maximum points that they can. Mark Pacheco sitting down in P3 in the championship. Scotty, equal points, but at the end of this race, if things stand as they are, Ryan Spann will take that lead by just 2 points. What do you do if you're Pacheco? Do you go for it, or do you just have to sit back and just play second fiddle to your teammate?
Well, we're on the final lap, so he's running out of time to decide what he's going to do. He is close enough that if he can get a nice run through this first sector all the way to turn 7, he could get the slipstream. We know this car has been fast in a straight line, a lot faster than his counterpart teammate in Scott Taylor. But this race so far, it's been all about 2 people. Andrew Scott and Ryan Spann, a 1-2 yet again. They got a 1-2 back in round 1. They got a 1-2 last time out at Interlagos as well, with Ryan Spann leading the way. But this time, Andrew Scott gets his own back. He leads the way in the 1-2. He's going to win here at Road Atlanta. Ryan Spann will come home in 2nd. Scott Taylor, what can he do to hold on from Mark Pacheco? I think he's going to. It doesn't look like Paco is close enough to make anything happen here unless there is a mistake from Scott Taylor, but he's been flawless. It's a lovely exit towards the final corner now. Holds on for 3rd place. What a result. It's a 1-2 for me, Cougar, and a 3-4 for Gridline Racing. Janssen holds on for 5th in the Mad Turtle car. And it is Campbell Knowles with the 1 stop that comes home in 6th, just ahead of Morgan Davey. Let's go and have a look at our full results. So it is Andrew Scott that takes the victory here, and 2 points for pole position to boot. 46 points for Ryan Spann. Then Scott Taylor in third. Mark Pacheco fourth. And then Lyle Rensburg in fifth. Campbell Knowles sixth. I have to ask you, Nick, there was a lot of action in that race. A lot of performances. Who is your driver of the day for Lobby 1?
Wow, what an absolute amazing lobby that we saw. Different strategies, different game plans between the two top contenders in this championship for Season 4 of the TCR Cup, sponsored by Mercury Walch. Andrew Scott, 52 points, a pole position, a fastest lap, and getting the one-up on his teammate, comfortably one-up on his teammate against Ryan Spann. So I think hands down, and I know he'll probably be watching back on the stream and letting me know in the comments below that if I give him the driver of the day, he's going to be fully wrapped with me. So I'm going to give my vote to Andrew Scott. A solid performance, faultless from start to finish, led by a strong qualifying to a strong race performance and consistency. My driver of the day. Honourable mention to Campbell Knowles there with that one stop, but Andrew Scott, my driver of the day.
Yeah, what a drive from Andrew Scott. A great result, but I think for me, I have to give it to Campbell Knowles. He did an absolutely brilliant job. What a result on the one stop. But that is all for Lobby 1, and I'm pleased to say that we will be back very soon, both myself and Nick Pautasso, for Lobby 2. So the Novocastrians are not going anywhere. Do not worry. We'll be back very soon for the Lobby 2. Welcome back. Hope you had a lovely short break there. It is obviously the TCR Cup sponsored by Mercury Walch and powered by TrackSpot TV. I, of course, am Isaac Fogarty, and we're back for Lobby 2, and I've brought with me my good friend Nick Pautasso. Nick, what a Lobby 1 that was, and now we turn our attention to the second race.
Yeah, great to be back here for the second part of this Road Atlanta journey that we're on here for you and me, Isaac. I'm excited for Lobby 2. We've seen the big hitters in Lobby 1, and now, which I usually call with my good friend and George Cook, we always call Lobby 2 or Division 2 the spicy lobby, the most chaotic lobby. And, you know, we can see some different strategies and some different tactics, but I have a feeling that this lobby could be a really, really strong one, with the likes of Asta Racing and Team Capital going head-to-head for that victory, as well as the other competitors that we have here tonight.
Absolutely. Well, without further ado, let's have a look at our qualifying results. So Luke Stone for Team Capital, there we go, one of the big hitters you were talking about. He lines up on the pole position from Nick Pfaff, racing for the other big hitter, Asta Racing. 3/10 between those two drivers in qualifying. Matthew Joinson for Eugen Global lines up in third, and then Chris Farapapa lines up in fourth for Lightning Motorsport, a 125 for him. So that's our top four. Are you surprised by any of those names at the top there, Nick, or do you think that's about a business as usual, sort of what you expected from this lobby?
I would say it's very close, because Luke Stone has always gotten a little bit on the upper hand of Nick Pfaff when it comes to the qualifying. The race has gone a little bit different. It's gone to the like of Nick Pfaff getting one up on Luke Stone. These two are sharing the same camp with Asta Racing and Team Capital. You'll see, as we see throughout the broadcast, we see the distinct liveries, just different sponsoring that they have on the side of their cars. But Dylan Scarborough, who is a team owner of Asta Racing and co-owner of Team Capital, will be looking at these two drivers, Luke Stone and Nick Pfaff, really working hard. But don't take your eyes off the Eugen Global driver, Matthew Joinson. He is the masterminder when it comes to chaos and chaotic strategy. He's going to be one to look out for. He's very good on tire saving. He's good on the fuel saving. So watch out for him to play a bit of an underdog part here for this race. So I'll be keeping my eye on that Eugen Global. But the battle between Luke Stone and Nick Pfaff, oof, I'm looking forward to it, Isaac.
As am I. Reminder, we have 32 laps around here, and anything can happen, as we learnt in 32 laps. A mandatory medium tyre to be run, and just to add a little bit of extra spice, we're running this at a slightly different time. This is the late morning time, so we ran the other race early in the morning at sunrise. This one's run a little bit later, and that being said, I think I can see our cars moving out to the grid to get started for this race. So let's head over and check it out. Here we go. The lights are coming up now. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights for race or Lobby 2. The lights are out and we are away. Luke Stone leads us away from the pole. A great start for Nick Pfaff, and Matthew Joinson, a lovely start as well from 4th place. But it is the Luke Stone and Nick Pfaff, the two Asta Racing cars, that have got off to a wonderful start here today. And the number 1 car looking very nice at the start. Matthew Joinson, we've got Motorsport 32, and then Shane Attard not too far behind in 5th place. Everyone seems to have got through cleanly through this first sector, which is lovely to see. P1 Skippy sitting in 7th place, and then we've got Hogs in 8th, Rusty in 9th. So this is a great start for all of these drivers. Everyone is pointed in the right direction, which is what we love to see.
Yeah, absolutely. A great start from all the drivers. 11 drivers here tonight. Unfortunately, we had not been able to see Matt Donetti in the second Eugen Global entry join us here tonight. So it's all Matthew Joinson again in this race to try and spearhead Eugen Global towards the front. But he's coming under pressure from Chris Farapapa in P4 for the Loctite Lightning Motorsport entry. He's going to shove it down the inside line nice and early onto lap 1. Gets a clean move done. Bit of contact made between the two drivers. They're going to give each other some room on the outside. And a nice solid move there by Farapapa. Watch out for Shane Attard in the second of the Asta cars to try and get past Farapapa. But unluckily for him, he's going to sit back in P5. Matthew Joyson loses a spot at the end of the first lap. Farapapa gains 1, but it is Luke Stone ahead of Nick Pfaff, ahead of Farapapa in P3. Matthew Joyson, Shane Addard, Michael Brill in Dub Zito, P6, with P1 Skippy 7th, and Craig Harcourt in Rusty in P8. So good to see the boys down the back there having a nice little battle pack between those guys. But it's all about the front pack and what's going to happen. A 1.5 second penalty there for Skippy for Hassel 1 Motorsport.
Dave Chucky behind the wheel of that car. He's not going to be too happy. Sorry to jump in there over you, Nick.
I was just going to say that he's just got a little bit too happy going over the curb, so they just gave him that 1.5 second penalty. So very unlucky there for Dave Chucky in P7. But yeah, very close racing so far. There's not too many big gaps I'm seeing in this lobby compared to lobby 1.
Yeah, everyone's quite close so far at this stage of the race. And we've got cars side by side at the moment. Rusty and it looks like Shane, no, Hogues maybe side by side. So I was trying to work out who we've got. Craig Harcourt holds on to that position over Hogues at this stage. So that's a lovely defensive move. Oh, we've got cars going side by side through the final corner. That is Shane Attard on Matthew Johnson getting himself up into 4th place. And now Dubzetto, sorry, is having a look at the back of the Eugene Global driver. A 1.5 second penalty to boot. So if I was Dubzetto at this point in time, I'd be seeing that little 0.5 number above the head of Matthew Johnson and just going, I'm just gonna wait for him to serve that slowdown before I make my move. We've got a bit going on here with 3 laps down. The action is still rolling, and this is about to be a change of position for Matthew Johnson. He will have to serve that 1/2 second slowdown penalty when he crosses the penalty line in just a few seconds time. Those 2 big yellow marker boards is where he will have to pull and slow. And there we go. Dubzetto Brill going past to move up into 5th place. So that is a wonderful result so far for the driver. I'm just trying to get my bearings together. I do apologise, but he's doing a great job. Michael Brill, the Lightning Motorsport driver, Loctite on the side of the car, up into 5th place. But it is Luke Stone leading the way over Nick Pfaff, and they have not fallen away from each other at the moment. These two very close still, and we saw this in race 1, 2 teammates battling away for track position for the lead of the race. And will we see that continue as this race goes on? Hopefully we do, because we love watching a bit of battle. I just want to note as well, Luke Stone, Nick Pfaff driving for different teams. So Nick Pfaff drives for Asta Racing and Luke Stone drives for Team Capital, but very similar looking liveries. They are slightly different though. You can see the colours on the side, especially in the numbers, are slightly different to denote the different teams, but they're both owned by the same management team, you could say, which is why their liveries look so similar. But they don't get it wrong. I got it wrong just then, but don't get it twisted. They are from different teams, so the gloves are well and truly off here as we come into turn 10. A look from Nick Pfaff to the inside shows the nose, but he's not close enough to be deep on the brakes and make a move into turn 10, so we'll have to wait a little bit longer. The soft tyres are the tyre of choice here for Nick Pfaff at the start of this race. Keep in mind, drivers have to use the medium tyre, and Nick Pautasso, sitting alongside me in this commentary box, talk us through the strategy that these drivers will be looking at. They're both on the soft tyre. We saw this in the first race. We're thinking, obviously, maybe a 2-stop from here for both these drivers to get home.
Yeah, absolutely. And these guys are putting on some really strong pace here. The tyres that they're looking at, the racing softs, they have to put on the racing medium tyres, but we're going to be seeing something similar to what we saw with the Gridline boys in Lobby 1, running the racing softs in that early stint. Nick Pfaff setting the fastest lap at 24.894 in the opening phase of this race. But I'm going to be very excited to see what they do in the second stint. Yes, they're from the same camp. They're not teammates. They're from the same racing camp, managed by Dylan Scarborough. So I'll be very keen to see what each team does. Which one's going to drive on the racing mediums first, and who is going to put on the racing softs next. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these guys go. But honorable mention here to Shane Addard up into P4. A really solid performance by the second of the Astacars in P4. This is the highest we've seen him in the TCR Cup for Season 4, putting in a solid performance there. Unfortunate for him to have strategy not go his way in the opening few rounds. That's dropped him well outside the top 8 in the Drivers' Championship. That he's been really struggling to get a hold of his 81, but this race is proving to be a really strong performance here for Shane Addard, and it's going to be very important for him as well to try and make some inroads on Chris Whakapapa in P3, because as we know, you get the two teams in the podium positions, you get extra points in that team's championship. And as we saw in Lobby 1, getting that double podium with your teammate is really, really crucial for the team championship battle. And Asta Racing are right up there in position 3 and position 4 with Team Capital for that battle for in that team championship.
Yeah, well, we just saw in Lobby 1 the battle play out for P1 and 2 in the championship. Now we're seeing the battle for P3 and 4 play out. And that is Dubzetto being put under pressure again from a charging Matthew Joinson. He's on a bit of a comeback drive now, losing positions at the start. Had a great start to the race, actually, then lost positions in the early laps. Then a half-second slowdown penalty cost him that P5 spot, and now he's making it clear he wants it back. The sole Eugene Global driver tonight. He's carrying the torch for that team with no Matthew Donetti able to, or not in the field tonight. But the 777 car, he's got a lot of pace at the moment on the medium tyre, so they're both getting their medium tyre run out of the way early. We did see some medium tyre runners in the first race run a one-stop, but I don't think with the pace these guys are showing, sitting in the 25s at the moment, that they're going to do that one stop. Obviously, the fastest lap of the race currently belongs to our race leader, Luke Stone, with a 24.8. So he is flying. I wonder how close, he did that on the last lap, I wonder how close Nick Pfaff is to setting a similar time, because obviously they're not too far apart from each other. 2/100ths of a second. You can't get much closer than that. It wasn't on the previous lap that he did that. It was actually on lap 4 that he did that time, but that's quite close in terms of fastest lap times.
Yeah, exactly. And these two have been trying to prove to the rest of the field that they are no slouches at all. Yesterday, we know me, Cougar, Driver Development, and Gridline Racing are your top teams so far in Season 4, but Team Capital and Asta Racing, they're trying to be the best of the rest and trying to work their way up towards the front to try and get into that battle pack. But we've got a purple Sector 2 for Nick Pfaff, a 10th and a bit up on on Luke Stone's fastest lap there. So we'll be keen to see what this lap time looks. Really sends it through the 10A, gets a nice wide entry to a short entry into 10B, and then going into the final corner, takes a tight entry there. Can he get himself into a low 24 on this stage? He does. It's a 24.7, so it's still the fastest lap, but he's one-upping his compatriot in Luke Stone. And what these guys are doing is, I don't really see any moves going at the moment between Luke Stone and Nick Pfaff. I think Nick Pfaff is very happy to sit behind Luke Stone because we know these two very well with myself and George Cook commentating the previous rounds and seeing these two in battle, line astern, that we know that these guys are hard racers. At the beginning of the race, they work together. They have run similar strategies, a bit of a different tyre strategy that we've normally seen, but pretty much pretty much neck and neck with the racing softs, not really wearing as fast as we'd hoped. These guys are actually looking after their tyres pretty well. Lap 8 of 32, and the tyres are looking really, really good to potentially run another 5 to 6 laps on this stint.
We saw lap 12 is when the first of our drivers would blink in the first race. But Chris Whakapapa, he's running in 3rd place at the moment, doing a wonderful job for Lightning Motorsport. And then Shane Attard sitting in 4th in this race for Asta Racing. So Nick Pfaff and Asta Racing, 2 cars inside the top 4 at the moment. This is a wonderful effort so far from those two drivers. And obviously Matthew Joyson, he has got himself back past Dubzetto up into 5th place. So that is a really nice job from the Fusion Global driver. And I'm sure Michael Brill will be ready to try and make that move, get that move back, I should say, as we get further into this race. But you've got to start thinking about strategy now. We're on lap 9. Tyres are starting to go. Some drivers on those soft tyres are going to have to start looking at when they come in, especially these two at the front who just continue to push. Nick Pfaff is doing a wonderful job, maybe just saving a bit of fuel, sitting in behind Luke Stone here.
Saving fuel, saving a bit of tyres. I feel like that's the key that Nick Pfaff is trying to run here for this strategy. We can see there Luke Stone has actually got a little bit more tyre wear on that front left compared to Nick Pfaff. He's actually saved the front tyres a little bit more. They're just a little pixel of difference between Luke Stone and Nick Pfaff. But what does Nick Pfaff do here? Right underneath that slipstream, will he go for the move on a Luke Stone? He points the car out, fakes the move there, slams it down the inside, and gets the number 1 into position 1. On lap 9 of 32, takes the lead ahead of Luke Stone, but Luke Stone is going for the cutback. They're going to be so close to each other coming into the final corner. It's going to make it neck and neck going into turn 1. Luke Stone is going to pluck the gears on his Honda Civic to try and get it back on the inside. He's right underneath that rear wing. He can read the body part number of that rear wing. Can he throw down the inside? No, he doesn't. He sticks behind the number 1 of Nick Pfaff, but that is a nice move there from the reigning champion. Now inherits the lead on lap 10 of 32. A bit of a slow exit there for Nick Pfaff, and a 2.5-second penalty for Luke Stone. Oh, that is going to cost him big time here. Isaac took too much curb, trying to get his way back up into P1, and he's paid the consequence.
Well, if he can read the body part number, he won't be able to for much longer. He is about to cop a huge penalty. That's going to feel like forever. 1.5 seconds. It already feels long when it's a half-second penalty, but you're going to put another second on top of that when you just have to roll as slow as you like. Here we go into the slow zone now for Luke Stone. He's going to lose all throttle. There it goes. He's on the brakes, and now he can get back up to speed, but look at how much time he is losing to Nick Pfaff already, and that is going to open him up potentially to be vulnerable to the Lightning Motorsport driver of Chris Farapapa, who's not too far behind now, and he's starting to close.
Yeah, Farapapa is going to be very eager to see Luke Stone up in his peripherals there, but he actually comes into the pit lane, so this could be a potential undercut strategy here. He's seen Luke Stone take the 2.5 penalty, and I don't blame him. I actually think this could be a smart move here from Chris Farapapa to go for an undercut on Luke Stone and try and get the jump for P2. This could be a wild strategy for Lightning Motorsports, Chris Farapapa.
Well, we do like to see a bold strategy. We saw the 1-stop be pulled off earlier today. Can the undercut 2-stop be pulled off here? What tyres will he go on to? This is Dubzetto chasing down Matthew Joyson. This battle for what is effectively P5 in this race has continued for what feels like all of the race now, but it's a second slowdown for Matthew Joyson. That is another huge penalty. So left and right penalties are being served here to drivers in key positions in this race. That is massive. But this is Chris Farapapa just come out the lane, so now he has the task of getting the foot down. What can he do to make up time on Luke Stone and potentially get an undercut here? He's onto the soft tyre, so onto that faster tyre for the rest of the race. I believe he was using mediums at the start, so he's got his mandatory medium run out of the way and can now just focus on getting his soft tyres to the rest of the race. Didn't fill up the car all the way either, so that could be crucial here in getting the undercut, because a lot of time you will lose is fuel. But Luke Stone is into the lane now, so that is the man who was in second place, who Chris Farapapa is trying to undercut into the pit lane.
Yeah, and you can see there with the fuel number difference there, Chris Farapapa came in with 20-odd litres. Luke Stone came in with 9. Yes, he came in a lap later, but this could be a crucial factor in this race between Luke Stone and Chris Farapapa, that he might be able to make the jump on the Team Capital driver. The fuel is still going up there, and Pautasso is coming up to 10B, coming up towards the final corner. 85% fuel has been put on that Team 55 car. We'll keep an eye on it, but Pautasso is coming around the final corner. Will he get the jump on Luke Stone? He's still in the pit lane. Where is he? Where is Luke Stone? Where is the Team Capital driver on the mediums, out of the pit lane and just behind, and he's made the jump.
Yes, he's got him. That's a great strategy call from Chris Pautasso. Crucial track position over Luke Stone, who was leading this race not too long ago. So this is now provisional second, the first of the cars that have stopped for Chris Pautasso. What can he do to make up time, maybe even on Nick Pfaff, who's sitting in first? How long will Nick Pfaff stay out? That answers my question. He's into the lane. So our race leader now in Nick Pfaff is in the pits. This man on screen, Chris Pautasso, had a wonderful outlap, a brilliant undercut on Luke Stone to get him into provisional second. Where will he pop out though, as Matthew Joynson continues on for another lap, so effectively inherits the lead of this race. Fuel going in for Nick Pfaff, but where is Chris Pautasso?
As we see Nick Pfaff, that fuel is ticking up there, gone past 70% now, going to try and get himself into the 80%. Pautasso is coming towards the final corner right now. It looks like he's going to get the jump. Yeah, he's going to be well clear of Nick Pfaff. So we're going to have a new race leader here, and a provisional race leader in Chris Pautasso. Nick Pfaff is transiting the pit lane on a full tank of fuel, as well as his teammate Shane Addard. Dubzito's put on 78%, so trying a bit of a shorter strategy. But Pautasso, and he's behind Dubzito, he's behind Michael Brill. So the two teammates, the two Lightning Motorsport drivers, have jumped Nick Pfaff here, and this has been a bit of a masterclass strategy so far in this opening stint here. Coming into the second stint, the Lightning Motorsport are ahead of Nick Pfaff and Luke Stone. A whole complete reverse psychological advantage that has gone for the Lightning Motorsport team.
I think Ferrari F1 team might need to give the Lightning Motorsport strategist a call and say, how have you done that? Because they've both gained a lot of key positions here, I should say, over their rivals. So it is now effectively a race lead for Chris Pautasso. He will inherit the race lead once everyone in front of him does stop. And though he's under pressure from Nick Pfaff at the moment, Dubzetto, Michael Brill, has got himself up into provisional third place. And Matthew Joynson is now in the pit lane as well. So where will he come out in all of this? Because remember, he was ahead of Michael Brill before he came in for his stop. The fuel has finished going in for Matthew Joynson. How close to this battle will he come out? That's what we're about to find out as we run through turn one. I think he's going to come out behind them. There he is. You can see him in the background, the car rolling through the pits, and he will come out behind this battle pack. So that is a net loss for Matthew Joynson. He will now sit P5 on correction once Spark, who leads the way in this race, and P1 Skippy come into the lane to serve their pit stops.
Yeah, but this is going to work very well for Matthew Joynson. He's run the racing mediums. That is done. So now he can run on the racing softs. He could probably potentially break this up into two 10-lap stints or two 11-lap stints. As we saw, the maximum that we on the tyres was with Nick Pfaff running 12 laps on the racing softs. So we might be seeing a different strategy here for the Yukon Global to try and do a double soft finish. But he's going to be able to extract more pace from the Yukon Global 777 to close up on Nick Pfaff and Dubzito to hopefully get himself on the podium. So back on the podium where he qualified in P3, currently sitting in P7, provisionally in position 5 behind Nick Pfaff, who's about to look down the inside of Michael Brill. Thinks better of it, but this is going to be hampering the progress. But down the inside into the final corner goes Nick Pfaff on Michael Brill there. No answer for Michael Brill to defend that from the reigning champion. Nick Pfaff gets that position over the Lightning Motorsport driver. Can he make a counter move on the reigning champion? He doesn't. He stays behind. But Nick Pfaff has now got that position done, one up on the Lightning Motorsport. But here, what I've noticed as well, Isaac, Nick Pfaff has actually filled the car up to the maximum. We saw this in Lobby 1. We saw the Me Cougar and the Gridline Racing boys run a full tank in that first stint, at the second stint of the race. So it could potentially come back to Astor Racing, but they need to work this strategy well. He needs to get pace. It's qualifying laps here for Nick Pfaff. Back on the racing soft tyres. It is qualifying time. Get the hammer down and try and catch back up to Luke Stone.
Yes, well, he's still got the medium tyres to run, but Luke Stone is currently running his. So Luke Stone is ticking that box, that requirement of getting the medium tyres out of the way. Nick Pfaff is not doing that. He is saying, I'm going to double stint on the soft tyre and I'll run the mediums at the end. So how long can he make those tyres last as Spark now comes into the lane, which means that Chris Farapapa will inherit the lead of the race and lead for the first time today. There is the 24 car, and it's a very lovely looking livery. All the liveries throughout this series are presented extremely well. I'm a big fan of pretty much all of them. I don't think there's any that I don't dislike, but there is our now race leader, Chris Farapapa for Lightning Motorsport, leads the way from Luke Stone. Then it's Nick Pfaff in third place, followed by Michael Brill in fourth, Matthew Joynson in fifth, Shane Attard in sixth, and then it looks like it's going to be Rusty in seventh, Craig Harcourt, and then it's Hogs in eighth, Mark Hasseldine in ninth. Where will Spark come out in all this? Will he come out into P10, or will it be Dave Chucky that gets the jump on him? I think it's going to be Spark out in P10. Maybe it's a long way to go. Dave Chucky's on his way down the front straight now. It's going to be close, but I think it's going to be Spark that holds on over Dave Chucky, who will sit in 11th place in this race. So we're at the halfway point now, Nick, and it seems to be the strategies are a little bit all over the place. Everyone's doing something different.
This is why we always say here in the commentary booth that Lobby 2 Division 2 always throws up a bit of chaos and a bit of wild strategies. And we're seeing one with Chris Farapapa. What a moment it is for him to be leading this race here in the TCR Cup. To see Lightning Motorsport leading a lobby and leading a race here is very exciting for Troy Britnell's team, who's running the Team 55 Capital, the sister team to the main team in Lightning Motorsport. Great to see his team running up in position 1 at the moment with Chris Farapapa. I actually saw a video with Chris Farapapa at the conclusion at Interlagos that to show how much teamwork they put into each other, that they're actually willing to help each other. I believe it was Chris Farapapa who actually ran out of fuel on the final lap at Interlagos, and who came to help his teammate out was Michael Brill, pushing Chris Farapapa. Reminds me of the car scenes with Lightning McQueen pushing one of his rivals towards the start-finish line, just to give him that bit of special treatment, getting a one-up on the teammates. So we saw a nice bit of companionship with the drivers at Lightning Motorsports, and it just shows that the work that they put in to not give up and really put themselves up into contention here for a potential race victory is really, really strong. For Chris Farapapa in first and Michael Brill in position 4, really strong efforts here from Lightning Motorsport. But Luke Stone and Nick Pfaff, these guys are no slouches at all. These guys have been showing the pace, and this is why they are high up in the championship, as well as their teams high up in this championship. They're really going to be pushing this, and they're going to really try their best to get back that position 1 and position 2.
Opportunity for there to be big gains in the championship here if you can pull off a good result, and that is what Luke Stone is trying to do at the moment. We've been advised by our technical team to keep an eye on the rev limiter and how much Nick Pfaff is revving that car, because he did put more fuel in than pretty much everyone else around him. He went 100 litres, as much as you could take, but we've been told that he's potentially revving that car a lot more than others. It seemed to be a bit of an early upshift there, but it does work in the sense that if you shift up earlier, it actually saves you fuel in this game. So it's a nice little trick without changing your engine map on how to change or save fuel in this game. But it seems that he's shifting up early enough that it's not really over revving the car at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a really, really strong race here for Nick Pfaff to run the second stint on the racing soft tyres. He's gone for that fast lap there, a 24.692. So strong performance there from Nick Pfaff, and he's right on the back again of Luke Stone's 53. So he's going to try to put a move on his teammate. I would technically say he's a teammate. They're part of the same racing camp, but just different team names. So he's probably trying to put one up on Luke Stone and try and get that position back that he took off him at lap 10 at the beginning of that first stint to get past Luke Stone. But on much better tyres compared to the racing mediums, as Nick Pfaff is doing a really solid job here to get onto the back end of Luke Stone. But Chris Pautasso, I have to really give my hats off to him. He's doing a really good job, and he's got a good gap over Luke Stone here. So, and I'm not 100% sure, I'm not so sure if I remember if he's actually run the racing medium tyres. I feel like he has, but if he actually comes into the pit lane and he throws on a racing soft tyre with a potential full tank of fuel here, Chris Pautasso is really going to be in close contention here for the victory, and even so more getting himself on that podium position.
I do believe you are correct. Chris Pautasso did run the mediums in that first stint, if I recall correctly. The man who hasn't run the mediums yet is the man on our screen, Nick Pfaff. He's currently chasing down the man. Oh, a deep move up the inside, late on the brakes from Nick Pfaff. That was a wonderful move, a very bold move from the Capital Racing driver, I should say, Team Capital. He has made that stick though, and he is past Luke Stone and on his way to second place in this race. That is key, because as I just mentioned, he still needs to run the medium tyre, whereas Luke Stone, who is on the medium tyre at the moment, so the tyre advantage sits in favour of Nick Pfaff. It's going to swing the other way once we stop again. It's going to go back to being in favour of Luke Stone. But we also have to keep in mind, there's a lot of things we have to remember. This is why I love this series, I should say. Just a slight tangent for a second, Nick. I love this series because there's so much you have to consider. There's setup, there's fuel usage, there's tyre usage, and there's also just your own driver pace. And what we have to think about here is these guys are fairly similar on pace. They will match each other. You put them in the same car with the same setup, they'll probably do close to identical lap times. What's different here is the fuel level that Nick Pfaff has taken over Luke Stone, but also the tyre pain that Luke Stone has taken in this stint over Nick Pfaff. There's so much to think about, and it's so exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to be seeing Luke Stone coming into the pit lane in the next lap or two. He's going to try and get the undercut on Nick Pfaff here. So we've seen that 12 laps is the key number on the racing soft tyres, and he's just about to cross over, 12 laps to go. So Luke Stone coming to the pit lane. Chris Pautasso has now pulled that trigger, so now he's coming into the safe zone. But I have a feeling he's on 10% fuel here. 12 laps on a full tank of fuel. He might be stretching a little bit to do a bit of fuel saving. Will Chris Pautasso in the 35 Lightning Motorsport entry, but from the lead, race lead, serving his pit stop for the final time, Chris Pautasso now inherits the lead back to Nick Pfaff, who was leading early on in this stint. Got the lead off Luke Stone at the end of lap 10, down 10A, 10B, and we saw the same sort of similar move Nick Pfaff put on Luke Stone. So he's done it twice on Luke Stone in the same corner there, Isaac. So a bit of a PTSD for Luke Stone in that same corner. But Nick Pfaff in position 1, but Luke Stone is not letting go of him on the low tank of fuel and on racing mediums there. He's keeping him pretty, but the fuel is on the red, and he's going to come into the pit lane at the end of this lap here, a crucial part in this race.
Well, it seems that the crossover point is starting to be reached in where the mediums are beginning to be faster than the soft tyres. We will see Luke Stone in at this lap, and as you say, it was twice he's made a move into this corner. Nick Pfaff definitely has Luke Stone's number when it comes to turn 10, and that is Luke Stone into the lane. I believe Nick Pfaff has elected to stay out on those soft tyres. Dubzetto also chooses to stay out. He'll get another lap out of that tank of fuel. Matt Joynson also staying out in this race. And Luke Stone into the lane now. He'll be able to put on the soft tyres from here, so I would expect we will see an undercut attempt here. There's not as much fuel that Nick Pfaff will have to take to get to the end, but we will see Luke Stone have a go at the undercut. There's Mark Hazeldine for Hassel 1 Motorsport, the 16 with the lovely Shell V-Power livery, and then Hogues not too far behind the teammate of, and I keep getting them mixed up and I apologize, but I believe it is the teammate of Luke Stone, the Team Capital driver, Mark Hogan. And this is Chris Farapapa, the man who was leading the race before he came into the lane. He has now served his final stop. He's on to mediums though. So we thought he used his mediums in the first stint. I was so sure that he had, but it seems that that is not the case. And now we have Luke Stone on a soft set of tyres against Chris Farapapa on a medium set of tyres with 10 laps to go in this race.
Oof, this is going to be very close here, Isaac. What we thought was potentially a soft finish for Chris Farapapa is now on the racing mediums. So he's going to have to try and get some fast pace on those mediums. He needs to work really, really strong to get and keep ahead of Luke Stone, but we know Luke Stone's pace. We've seen it in qualifying. He got pole position for a reason. He's the fastest man around this track in the qualifying pace. Race trim, it goes to Nick Pfaff with a 24.692, but Nick Pfaff has to run the medium tyres to finish this race. We're about 10 laps to go till the end of this race. Nick Pfaff ahead of Matthew Johnson, ahead of Shane Addard, but Chris Farapapa takes the provisional lead once the pit cycles have gone and have been done and dusted. Between that top 7 that are yet to make their second pit stop. Mark Haseldine has come into the pit lane for Hassel 1 Motorsport on 0% fuel, so he's running to the end of his stint on another set of compound tyres, mediums or softs. Potentially we're looking at soft tyres. Craig Harcourt and Michael Brill have come into the pit lane now. 75% for Michael Brill here on the racing soft tyres. He's going to get the jump, and he's actually got the jump on Chris Farapapa. So what is going on here at Lightning Motorsport? A whole different strategy play between the two teammates, and Michael Brill has ended up ahead of Chris Farapapa. What is going on here in Lobby 2? Some crazy scenes here.
Myself, that means provisionally at this stage it is a 1-2 for Lightning Motorsport, with Michael Brill leading the way over Chris Farapapa, not too far behind. But do not forget that Luke Stone, you can see him in the background there, the Team Capital driver, he is lurking on those soft tyres, a potential race win. He can smell it. Matthew Johnson is in the lane for his final stop. Nick Pfaff is still out. Nick Pfaff is still out. He has not come into the pit lane yet. He will continue on. He's got a lot of fuel. He's almost out. If you look how much he has worn through the fronts on those soft tyres. Still in the 25s though, 25.6, only a second off his best lap of the race. So this is a wonderful effort from Nick Pfaff. The consistency he's tried to keep just sitting in those 25s. He's doing a wonderful, wonderful job of looking after those tyres. The full fuel meant that he now has very limited time to run, probably about 8 laps on those medium tyres. Hopefully the track position is crucial. Matthew Johnson comes out behind Luke Stone. There was a bit of he came out in the middle of this battle pack and the other drivers had to navigate their way around him, but he'll settle in just behind Luke Stone, also on a set of soft tyres. So you've got Michael Brill from Chris Farapapa, from Luke Stone and Matthew Johnson, and the only man on a set of mediums, the odd one out here you could say, is Chris Farapapa. So this is getting close with only 7 laps to go once we cross the line.
7 laps to go, and Nick Pfaff has come into the pit lane right now. Look at Luke Stone. He is right underneath that rear wing of Chris Farapapa. Here he comes, the 53 of Luke Stone, trying to get the move on the Lightning Motorsport driver. Goes to the inside line, gets squeezed. He's going to get squeezed onto the grass there a little bit. It's purple on his lap time. Will he send it down to 10A as he throws the car down the inside, a better grip advantage, and that is him ahead of Chris Farapapa, who's now coming under pressure from Matthew Johnson. So Matthew Johnson has put himself into this battle pack where we thought he's lost out. Nick Pfaff has come out of the pit lane on racing mediums ahead, well ahead of this pack. He's got a huge gap over Michael Brill in position 2. Luke Stone in P3. Matthew Johnson was putting pressure on Chris Papa, but Nick Pfaff, with a different strategy on the racing mediums now, has got a fast Luke Stone and a fast Michael Brill on racing softs here, and we have just 7.5 laps to go here. This is going to be close, but watch for that crossover between the racing mediums and the racing soft tires. It is going to be close. Matthew Johnson now gets up into position 4 ahead of Chris Papa. So what has been a strong performance from Chris Papa leading the second stint in this race has now dropped down to P5 on the racing mediums. At least he's well clear of Shane Adard in position 6, but behind this tight battle pack in the top 5, it is not how he wanted this race to go.
No, this has gone from bad to worse from great to bad, I should say, and then from bad to worse for Chris Papa. He was leading this race for most of it and now finds himself in 5th place. But Luke Stone is closing up to the back of his teammate Michael Brill, looking to make a move back up into 2nd. But the question is, do they work together in an attempt to try and catch up to Nick Pfaff, who is on the medium tyre? So the tyre advantage currently sits with, oh, look how much he gained in that first corner. There must have been some sort of mistake. They're side by side down towards turn 3, and that is Luke Stone up past Michael Brill. There must have been some sort of mistake from Michael Brill, because he didn't carry anywhere near as much speed. You saw how much Luke Stone gained through turn 1, around the outside, made the move stick as they came through turns 2 and 3, and that is 2nd place now for Luke Stone, and a chance to set after the man that has had his number all race so far. Nick Pfaff leads the way with 6 laps to go when we cross the line. Can he hold on from the Team Capital driver in Luke Stone?
Well, I'll tell you what, that move that Luke Stone put on Dub Zeta was absolute spice on the knife's edge there. Made a mistake there by Michael Brill, and Luke Stone just finds the tiniest of gaps on the left-hand side on the exit of turn 1 to make that move stick. A beautiful class move there, a brave move from the Team Capital driver in Luke Stone. Now sets his eyes on Nick Pfaff there. We'll be able to see the lap times now as we see that first representative lap time set by Nick Pfaff in position 1. Luke Stone sets himself at 25.379. Nick Pfaff sets himself at 25.838. So he's 5/10 faster, Luke Stone, but he did have to put the move on Michael Brill in position 3 on the previous lap. So a little bit hampered there on pace, Luke Stone, but the time is running out. 6 laps to go till the end of this race. It's going to be close. Dub Zeta in P3. Matthew Johnson will have to be keeping our eyes on him to see if he can close up to Dub Zeta in position 3. And unfortunately, Papa in position 5. Unlucky for him. So he's going to be trying to figure out if that medium can have a crossover at any point in this race for him to close up to Matthew Johnson and his teammate in position 3.
Yeah, there's a bit of work to do for Chris Papa. Obviously, he's on those medium tyres, so maybe not going to come his way. But look how much Luke Stone has used that front left tyre to try and catch up to Nick Pfaff, and it hasn't yielded as much of a result as he would have wanted so far for the Team Capital driver. He's still a fair way off our race leader, and Nick Pfaff, I just keep saying it, he continues to have Luke Stone's number in this race, and that was backed up by some pretty bold moves in turns 10A and 10B. It's 2 corners, but he's done some brilliant moves throughout the race there, has Nick Pfaff, and he just continues to push on now. Those medium tyres not really seeing anywhere so far since he's come into the lane. Only 3 laps ago, but we're now with 6 laps to go in this, no, 5 laps to go in this race. Doing maths in my head, trying to subtract numbers. It gets a bit difficult sometimes. But Nick Pfaff leads the way from Luke Stone, from Michael Brill, from Matthew Johnson for Eugen Global, the sole Eugen Global driver today, in 4th place. Then it is Chris Papa sitting in 5th. Shane Attard in 6th for Team Asta Racing. Then it is Spark in 7th. Hogues in 8th place. Mark Hasseldine for Hassel One Motorsport in 9th. P1 Skippy Dave Chucky sitting in 10th at the moment for that is also for Hassel One Motorsport, and then Craig Harcourt sitting down in 11th. A difficult race for him today, but still doing a wonderful job. It's great to see all our drivers still pushing on and having a great time doing it. This is a lovely circuit, one of the best circuits on the calendar, I think, and I'm not biased at all, but Atlanta, Georgia has really turned it on for us today. Mark Hasseldine, a 1 second slowdown. He had a half second not too long ago, and then just for his troubles, he's been given another half second. So that is going to undo all the effort he has put in to catch up to Hogues in front of him, because he's going to have to back right off now and slow down. So that's going to be extremely frustrating for the Hassel One driver.
Yeah, very unlucky there for Mark Hasseldine. Not the performance that we've been seeing with Hassel One Motorsport. Remember that these guys are the reigning champions when it comes to the GT3 Championship that will be coming up after the TCR Cup. All the information will be posted out on that series in the not too distant future for all the Facebook community and the Discord members. Be excited to see the GT3 Championship make its welcome return. But it is TCR Cup. Mark Hasseldine's team struggling a little bit, so hopefully they can get themselves on the ball in the second half of the season. But the battle for P1 still rages on. Nick Pfaff still ahead of Luke Stone. Dub Zeta still holding on to pretty. P3. Matthew Joynson in 4th. Chris Farapapa in P5. I was having a little bit of a chuckle moment there for you with you doing the maths there. I guess that's why, when it comes to maths and when it comes to racing, that's why we're in the commentary booth, and that's why we're not on track, Isaac, because any numbers and any crunching of the numbers we have to do, tyre saving, fuel saving, numbers on how many laps to do with the fuel, just leave it to the drivers, leave it to these 11 drivers. They've done all the homework. We're just here in the background just calling a fantastic race.
Yeah, well, we've shared a car before, Nick, and you know me very well. I don't believe in tyre or fuel saving. I think it's a myth, and it doesn't really do anything. But these drivers, they know all about it. They crunch all the numbers, and they make sure that they drive to that number to achieve the best result possible. And that's something that this man has done today to brilliant effect. Nick Pfaff, he still holds quite a sizable lead over... There you go, you can just see him in the background, Luke Stone. I don't think that gap is going to close anymore with 2.5 laps to go. So unless there is a major mistake, and I'm trying not to give him the commentator's curse here, but it looks like Nick Pfaff has got this one wrapped up. The fastest lap of the race, a 1:24.692 for our race leader. And this man just absolutely owns Road Atlanta. You could give, let's name a corner after him. I think that corner right there, turn 10A, we need to name that corner after him, because he's just pulled some brilliant moves off there today.
Yeah, we're going to call it Pfaff corner there. 10A is that's a really commemorative audible mention that you've got there for Nick Pfaff, so really nicely there. Lap times are very similar here. I feel like Nick Pfaff, the crossover point between the racing softs and the racing mediums have now come into fruition there. Nick Pfaff is actually getting one up on Luke Stone, so Luke Stone's really burned through that front left, and you can see it is cooking and is losing all that grip. That is actually allowing Dub Zeta to close up just that little bit more on Luke Stone in this last lap and a half. But an audible mention for him, for Michael Brill. This is an absolutely strong performance here. Done a very strange strategy from what I've seen. A racing medium and then a double soft stint on a low fuel tank has done really, really well. So I really applaud Michael Brill's strategy here, and Lightning Motorsport to potentially be getting a podium for the first time in Season 4 in Lobby 2. It'll be an exciting moment here, but a lap and a half to go, and he's got a fast Matthew Joynson right behind there who won't be giving up, and he's going to be throwing that Yugen Global car as much as he can, but the gap is quite big, and it kind of looks like we're seeing the positions as we are, unless we see a cruel track limit penalty on the final lap.
And we'll keep a close eye on that. We are entering the final lap of the race now. Nick Pfaff is coming around the final corner to start the last lap. There you go, a 25.4 on the medium tyres for our race leader. You can see Luke Stone in the background, but he's nowhere near close enough to do anything about it. With only one tour of this amazing circuit to go here in Atlanta, Georgia, we've had 2 races, 64 laps of racing in total, 32 for each lobby, and there's been action aplenty. We've got Nick Pfaff leading the way in this race over Luke Stone, over Michael Brill, who pulled a wonderful strategy to come out of nowhere. How loose was that through the S's for Matthew Joynson? I'm very impressed with the car control to catch that and hold on, and he didn't get a slowdown penalty, which is even better. You've got Chris Farapapa sitting in 5th, or what could have been for him today. Led a good chunk of this race after that wonderful strategy call in the first stint, but it just hasn't played out the way he would have wanted it to in this race. But we turn our attention to this man. We saw himself and Luke Stone going at it, and he's had some brilliant moves on Luke Stone into this very corner, Pfaff curve, or Pfaff corner as it's now known to everyone here at MotorMotion E-Series. But he's going to come around the final corner. The reigning champion does the job today, shows him how it's done in Atlanta. Nick Pfaff wins here at Road Atlanta. Luke Stone crosses the line 2nd, Michael Brill in 3rd, and it looks like Matthew Joynson will come home in 4th place, Chris Farapapa 5th, and we'll go to our full results. Well, there it is. What a race that was. Congratulations to Nick Pfaff, who takes out the win for Asta Racing. Luke Stone and Team Capital will be 2nd. Michael Brill, a wonderful strategy call to come 3rd. Matthew Joynson in 4th. Chris Farapapa in 5th for Lightning Motorsport. So a double top 5 for Lightning Motorsport. What a result. And Shane Attard getting more crucial points for Asta Racing in their championship battle over Team Capital. Now, for me, personally, I have to give my driver of the day to Michael Brill. A wonderful strategy call in that 2nd stint, Nick, to just get himself up into podium contention. Looked like if he could have been 2nd, but Luke Stone just too good today to get one back on the Lightning Motorsport driver. But he's definitely my driver of the day. Who is it for you?
I'll have to say, what a fantastic lobby that was. The 2nd lobby, the Division 2 lobby, whatever lobby we call the 2nd part of the TCR Cup here at MotorMotion E-Series, it always brings a classic, and this one has no more than a classic here at MotorMotion E-Series. What a race that was. Nick Pfaff, a double send on Luke Stone. So Luke Stone's going to be having absolute nightmares at the end of this race, thinking about that corner. And he will be wanting to make sure that he does not have that effect on him ever again in the next race at Trial Mountain. But driver of the day for me, I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to agree with you here. I'm really happy to give Michael Brill my driver of the day. What a strong performance that was. I would have given it to Chris Farapapa if he managed to have that strategy on point and get himself up towards the front, but that medium stint really hurt him in that final part of the race. So unfortunate for Chris Farapapa, what was looking at like a strong performance, unfortunately not enough to get the driver of the day. But honorable mention for Nick Pfaff and Luke Stone. What a performance that those two have been putting on. But Michael Brill, my driver of the day. That is 2 votes for Michael Brill. You guys can let us know in the comments below if you agree with us or disagree with us. But Isaac, what a fantastic race this has been. What a fantastic lobby it has been for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Could not agree more. Let us know in the comments who was your driver of the day. What was your favorite moment? But that will do it from the commentary box here at Road Atlanta. We're going to go see if we can get some of those American cheeseburgers. To Novocastrians signing off. Thank you very much, Nick Pautasso, for jumping in.
Absolutely. It's great to be alongside with you, Isaac, and hopefully we get to do a little bit more here at TrackSpot TV. So thanking the team and thanking you for having me on board for this race. And what a race this was at Road Atlanta. I get to leave Road Atlanta excited and happy, and I cannot wait for the next one at Trial Mountain and next time out.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to hand over to George now. As always, I've been Isaac Fogarty, and here's George to take you through the standings.
Well, that's Lobby 1 and Lobby 2 coverage for your viewing pleasure tonight, round 5, and that Lobby 2 was something to behold. So much strategy in both of the races tonight, and this is how the driver standings are at the end of round 5. Ryan Spann is on top by 2 points now. They were even Stevens at the beginning of the round, but that little extra for Ryan puts him ahead of Scott Taylor in P2 for Gridline Racing. Then it's Nick Pfaff. What an absolutely brilliant race he's had this week for Asta Racing, 270 points. He's only 22 behind Scott Taylor and still 6 ahead of Mark Pacheco for Gridline Racing. Then it's Luke Stone for Team Capital and Campbell Knowles for Team 55. Looking further down the grid, Matthew Joynton for Yugen Global charging to 7th place on 244 points, followed by Michael Brill, Lyle Rensburg, Chris Fadapapa, Troy Britnell, and Andrew Scott making a little bit of a resurgence with a better result today. In the team's title, it is Gridline Racing, still on top, but the gap between them and Me Cougar has come down somewhat. 563 points for GLR, Me Cougar on 535. Then it's Lightning Motorsport, and there's a little bit of an interesting counting error there. 458 for them in 3rd place, Team 55 in 4th place. Then it's Asta Racing, Team Capital, your top 6. Looking further down the line, it is Mad Turtle Racing, followed by Rusty Nuts Racing. And then not too far behind them in 9th place, it's Hassel One Motorsport, Yugen Global, CP Motorsports, and Black Rose Racing. The calendar, looking ahead, we are now into the latter half of the season. Trial Mountain next up. We saw some fiery action here in the Manufacturer Masters. I'm so looking forward to going back to this legendary fictional circuit. Then it'll be Dragon Trails Garden, Nürburgring Sprint, the Lago Maggiore GP, and Catalunya to round out the season. And we continue the American leg next time on stream. www.mercurywalch.com.au. Big thanks to our sponsors for the TCR Cup. And of course, you have been watching the MotorMotion E-Series here on YouTube. Go check us out on www.motormotioneseries.wordpress.com. Thanks to our broadcasting partners as well, Trackspot TV. You can find them on https://trackspot.tv. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll be back next week for round 6.